We're joined now by Negar Mortazavi. She is the Washington correspondent for Iran International. Welcome to our broadcast. What is your reaction to the new sanctions and Iran saying it will retaliate? What does this mean?
Well, Iran has clearly said that designating the head of the judiciary, Sadiq Larijani, has crossed all red lines, as they said. And it seemed like the Trump administration was actually aiming for that to be provocative. In the press conference with the administration officials, they actually emphasized on the designation of Sadiq Larijani, and they said that they wanted to send a strong message to human rights abusers in Iran. And even when you speak to some of the pro-JCPOA, pro-Iran deal camps in Iran and outside, it seems like the human rights sanctions and the designations, as long as they don't affect the Iranian economy and stay separate or in parallel to the nuclear deal and don't really violate the terms of the JCPOA, might be something that some of the Iranian reformists and moderate might also be on board, and the activists, as far as putting pressure on the hardline section of the Iranian establishment.
So President Trump is keeping the Iranian deal on life support for now, let's just say. What is the likelihood of him getting fixed what he wants?
I think it's very unlikely. The Europeans don't seem to be on board as far as basically what the president wants is reopening of a deal that's already a done deal. The Europeans don't seem to be on board. Even the U.S. Congress, they just had 60 days to go in or snap back sanctions or somehow unravel the deal when President Trump didn't certify Iran's compliance last time. And it seemed like there's no consensus even among a Republican-controlled Congress here in the U.S. So if the president wants to leave the deal by himself, he has the authority to. But if he wants to have Congress and the European partners on board with him, it just seems very unlikely, especially with this very short amount of time that he's designated for.
And it would be really, for all practical matter, a foreign policy calamity for him. I mean, to pull out without the support of the other allies who have supported it.
Definitely. So there was Wendy Sherman, the lead negotiator of the U.S. in a press conference. She said this will undermine the U.S. credibility, something that a previous administration with their allies. This is not just a deal between Iran and the U.S. There are European allies, there are other world powers who were part of it. 2 years of negotiations. It would just undermine America's credibility in the world.
Let's talk briefly about what Mr. Trump wants. He wants immediate inspections at all sites requested by international inspectors. He also wants sunset provisions imposing limits on Iran's nuclear program to not expire. Is this acceptable?
Here's the thing. You can't try to piggyback on the back of a deal that's already done. These parties all came to table for 2 years of negotiations and agreed on certain issues. If the U.S. were to ask more of the Iranians will want to ask more of the U.S., and there has to be a whole new set of negotiations. What seems President Trump is trying to push is to get a one-sided addition to the U.S. part of the bargain without even involving, they've said, without even involving the Iranians who were part of the negotiation. It doesn't seem like that's how international norms and international negotiations work. So that's why I feel like it's not just me. Experts in this town just see this very unlikely to happen, especially in 120 days, which is really nothing.
So we're talking mid-May or something where this comes up again. What do you expect to happen between now and then?
It's hard to predict what this president is going to do as far as the Iran deal. He has made very strong promises to his base as far as leaving the deal, unraveling it, calling it the worst deal ever throughout his campaign. So there's that promise that's still to be fulfilled. But at the same time, it seems like all of his advisors, H.R. McMaster, Rex Tillerson, Jim Mattis, have been advising him against doing it, even coming out in public and supporting the deal because they say Iran has been compliant, has been holding its end of the bargain.
But they are not big fans of the deals themselves.
They're not big fans of the deal, but it's not about the actual deal anymore. It's about staying true to your responsibilities when the other parties, including the IAEA has been reporting numerous times that Iran has been compliant. And that's what the Iranians have been emphasizing. If we have been compliant, and you should be compliant too, and if you stop being compliant to your responsibilities, then we'll stop doing ours as well.
It's a big warning from President Trump at this point, basically, and he's kicking it down the road to Congress.
It really is. It really is. And also, let's not forget the uncertainty that this creates for the business community, for foreign investors, even the Europeans who are looking into the Iranian market. Even though the sanctions waivers have been renewed, they still don't know what's coming down the road in 4 months. So that uncertainty is something that's going to affect the business relations too.
All righty. Well, Negar Mortazavi, thank you so much.